Some more news that came out this week, having to do with an Xbox 360 version of the classic Goldeneye from the Nintendo 64. Um, Now, as a reminder, if you're new to this channel or stream podcast, I'm not the biggest fan of first-person shooters, and Goldeneye was kind of the game that killed it for me. Um, but I can definitely appreciate what it's done for the first-person shooter genre on consoles. I don't think it would be where it is today without that. And it's definitely a great game, one of the best games on the Nintendo 64, period. So this footage leaked, and I want to say Phil Spencer himself came out and said that he was asked about the GoldenEye port, and apparently there was a rumor out that, well, you know, they were having a hard time getting the game to run or code to run on the 360, and Phil Spencer said GoldenEye has always been a rights issue, not getting a code to run issue, which is definitely makes perfect sense to me. GoldenEye 007, as many of you know, it was not featured in the Rare Replay package game that came out on the Xbox One recently. It had 30 games. It had Perfect Dark, the original from the Nintendo 64, but no GoldenEye. And it makes a lot of sense. The problem when you get into licensed games that are based off of licensed intellectual property, it gets really tricky when you go to re-release these games. It looks like Activision may have had a say in whether, Activision acquired the James Bond video game license back in 2006. At the time, they were, and I think Nintendo and Microsoft had agreed to a publishing deal for it, but it looks like Nintendo Japan actually went ahead and shut down the project, which I don't know how they would be able to do that, since a remake of a game that was on an old system of yours, I don't know how Nintendo has any say about that. But apparently they did. And the and there's a screenshot I believe I've got up there. So it doesn't look too bad. And it would have been interesting. I could see this being a pretty decent, Xbox Live Arcade game. Maybe throw it up for $15 on there, and it probably would have sold pretty well. But when it comes to these licensed games where licenses are constantly changing hands, the NES Classic that's going to be coming up, I really wish they had the Ninja Turtles games, specifically 2 and 3. I want to say 2 is simply called Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game, and the third one is the Manhattan Project. And those are two great beat 'em up games. I actually like them better than Double Dragon. But those games are sadly going to be missing from the NES Classic, and it's all because of rights. Konami developed the games, and back when they did good things, and they also had but the license to Ninja Turtles, I don't even know who owns that license anymore. I know that Konami doesn't own it, so they don't have the right to re-release a game that they developed on anything else, because they would actually have to pay to get that license back. So we're stuck. When it comes to these licensed games, that's the worst part about them, is getting it to be re-released at a later time. And unfortunately for this GoldenEye remake, it looks like it fell into that category.